Alright, so this is going to be the second attempt to try to film this rules video. I've tried to do it before and I didn't like it. I tried to salvage it, but no. There was too many mistakes or calling tokens or cards the wrong name, so I decided let me just redo it. I'm going to split that video into a couple of parts like I did with the Android because there is a lot to cover. This first part will be the setup, how to set up the game, and I'll explain how that works and how to get your ships and everything. So everything you need to know before you start the game. Another video I'll do the rules of the games. That video might be split in two depending on how I get around the rules because there is a lot to cover. So we'll see how that works, and so let's see if we get 2 or 3 video in there. But let's start with the setup. So the setup is, there's a few things you need to do before you set up the game. First thing you might want to do, of course, is to set up the board. And the board is pretty straightforward. The book gives you some example on how to set up depending on how many players. I'm going to set up for 2 players. I am going to be the Federation against the Klingon, but I'm only going to show you when I do the rules or when I explain something, the Federation side of things, which is going to be the same thing with the Klingon. There may be some differences in the kind of mission they have and so forth, but the rules are the same for both. Everything else is the same, so there's no reason why I want to go back and forth. I may do a third video later on, a couple of turns, and see how it works. We'll see how that goes. But the way you set up the game, let's see if I can show you a little bit here. You are going to, this is for a 2-player game, you're gonna have 5 location cards, or location cards in the middle here. You start with the center and then you put 2 towards one player and 2 towards the other player. Then you have your 5 lines in the middle, starting from the middle of the outpost or the command post all the way to the other command post. And then you put 6 cards here, 6 cards here, and then another 5 here, 5 here, and the extremities. Alright, so that's the way you just do it. It's easy. A player gets to pick their cards and randomize them. They are right here. So shuffle them, randomize them, and put them. It doesn't matter which side you put them on as long as they're upside down, because as you go through the game, and I'll explain that, and you turn them over and you explore them, they will go on the direction of the player who discovered the card. So that's the board, straightforward. The next things to do is to muster your ships. The ships are going to be on one side. I'm missing one ship right here. It was broken, so I'm trying to fix it, but your ships will be here. And all those ships have a card that comes with the game for each ship. There's 12 cards for 12 ships. For the Federation side, here they are. And what you're going to do is you're going to randomize, so you're going to shuffle those cards. And once they're shuffled, you're going to pick your fleet from that deck of cards, which will represent your ships later on. The way you do that, you want to decide first of all, how long of a game you want to play. Or you can go. The default is to go to 10 victory points. You can get to 14, 18, 20, 25. It doesn't matter. But let's do a 10 victory point game. You will decide. Okay, so we're gonna go to a 10 victory point game. That's also going to represent the size of your fleet. So you're going to play for a 10 victory point game, a 10 size fleet. So what you do, you take, once you've shuffled the cards, the ship deck cards, you turn the first card over and you're going to check what it is. This is the USS Enterprise. Yeah, good job. And I did shuffle, by the way. Now you look at the blue part here, the top right part. It tells you the size of the ship. This ship is a size 6. Bigger the size, usually better the ship. It's probably a powerful ship, so it takes most of your fleet size. This one is a size 6. So I'm already at 6 right now with one ship. I have 4 more size ship to get. So I keep going. And I take my second ship and I look at it. What is it? That's a size 3. That's the Excelsior. And this is a pretty good fleet right now. Now I got 9. Only now the only ship I can get now is a ship of size 1. Anything else will be too big because I cannot go over 10. I have to get to 10 exactly. So the next ship here is a size 2, is the other USS Enterprise. This is the original one. But because it's a size 2, can't use it. So I'm only gonna go until I find a size 1. Here's another size 2, discard it. Size 3, discard it. Size 5, discard it. Size 5, discarded. Size 3, discarded. Size 4, and so forth. I'm sure I'm going to get, here you go, size 1. This is the USS Yosemite. Okay, so now, if I look at my fleet size, I have exactly 10. So I'm good. I take all those cards I've discarded before, put them back together, and I put that aside because during the game, you'll be able to call for reinforcements, and that reinforcement will come from the other ships because your ships can get destroyed. So you just put it aside wherever you want. And then those 3 ships are going to be your starting ships. Let's go over quick the ships card since we're talking about the ships, and you can always refer this back to here whenever you need. Okay, every ship is set up the same way. Every card, I should say. You have the name of your ship on the top, okay, with the serial number, which might be important if you have 2 USS Enterprise, like we've seen. This was the USS Enterprise E, so a better ship. You obviously has your size. We've talked about that. There's also most ships, almost all of the ships, have special ability, and this is where you will have. Let's just look at this special ability to give you an idea of what they are. This one says 9 lives. If Enterprise is destroyed, roll 2 dice. On a roll of 12, it is not destroyed. Instead, return it to your reinforcements pool and red alert in red alert status. Okay, so what it pretty much means is that normally when a ship gets destroyed, is out of the game. You can't use it anymore again. But the USS Enterprise, if you roll 2 dice and you get a roll of 12, which would be a perfect roll, then instead of being destroyed, you put it back in your reinforcement pool, which would be here. So you put it on the side, and then you put it on red alerts, and I explain what the red alert is. Now, so that's your special ability. Every ship has one. Some don't, but most of them do. So you want to make sure you know that. It tells you also what group is part of. That's a Federation ship, obviously. And then there is 4 different rows on the bottom there. Weapons, sensors, engines, and shields. These 4 different rows are also divided into 3 different colors: white, yellow, and red. You may have guessed what those are. This white is pretty much your general state of alert. Yellow is yellow alert, and red is red alert. It represents damage on your ship. Now, how does that work? Every single column, you see those rows are separated into column. Every single one represents clicks, one of the click on your ship. So if we take a look at the USS Enterprise, for example, the Enterprise. So the other thing you want to do, right now I'm going over the card, but the other thing you want to do during your setup is you're going to get the actual ship from all 3 cards that you get and put them on your fleet deployment zone right here. So let me do this and I'll be right back. So here they are. So I took my ships, put them in the space allocated. So let's go back to the card here. So as you see, like I said, they represent those columns, the clicks on your figure. And if you look at the figures, there is those, here we go, representing the red is the weapons. Then you have the sensors, engines, and then finally the shields on the right bottom with numbers, which represents the numbers that you have on the card. All right, which this happened to be the 3rd column, 5, 13, 10, 7. Okay. These also represents power allocation or systems allocations. So if you're familiar with Star Trek, and even if you're not familiar, but you know, if you may want at some times during the game have full power to the weapons. So in this case, because this is the Odysseus Enterprise, one of the most powerful ship, has a 16 value here for weapons. But once you get the weapons that high, then your systems are going to, other systems are going to suffer. So the 16 here, you would have to disable the sensors to get to 16. Okay, you're going to have to lower your engines to 4. But your shields also will be. So right there, you're in weapons and shields at the maximum. Maybe for combat, you're ready for combat, right? But you won't be able to use your sensors. You can allocate different powers. Let's say now you are going to need the sensor for some test. Then you may allocate the power to get 15 like the sensors, but then your weapon will be at 0. And then your engine at 8 and so forth. Or maybe you want to go as fast as you can, so you will probably allocate power to the engine, which will be those 2 here. So this part here is where you're going to be switching during different power allocation, and we'll go over that when we get to the rules. Just remember, this is what it is. Yellow just means that if your ship gets hit once, if it gets damaged once, it goes into what's called yellow alert. Now you can only choose between those allocations here, those clicks. And on the ship, you can't even tell it there, but the color, the white color in the background for the allocation will be yellow, all right? And finally, if you hit a second time, you get to red alert. Now you can only choose between those. And as you can see, you don't have a lot of choice. A lot of the systems are going to be disabled, or they're going to be 2, 0, 1, they're going to be lower. You can see you'll never get again an 18 weapons. The max you get is a 9. Same thing for the shield, you get a 10 max instead of an 18. So as you get damage, you're going to have less allocation to your powers, and you're going to, they're going to be much less powerful than they used to be. If you're on red alert and you get hit one more time, your ship is finally destroyed, right? Then it's out of the game, unless you're the Enterprise and you roll the 2 dice and you get a 12. So that's what those color means. That's what this little, row means, and columns and everything, right? Also, the last thing we're going to see here is 3 different colors with 3 different numbers. These represent missions that you will be selecting from during the setup that will come from the science deck, influence deck, or communication deck. Combat deck for the missions. All right, so it's important first to decide or to check all your, your ships. Okay, so now you have the 3 ships. So now we're gonna go. The next step you want to do during the setup, after you picked your ships and you've put them here, is to take your mission cards. All right. So the way it works is, again, you will look at every ship's top, the top left, the top right, sorry, what the missions are, the 3 colors. And normally the size of your ship tells you how many mission cards you're going to pick for that ship. This ship has a size of 1, so he picks 1 card, and happens to be a science mission. As you can see the green here, there's a 1, so you're going to pick only 1 card of the science for this ship. So you go to your mission cards here, and they're split into science, influence, combat. They're turnover, so you cannot see them, but as you can see, there is a border, a green border, yellow border, red border. It tells you what kind of mission it is. So this is helpful to know which deck is what. So right now it says 1 science, so you take the top card of the science mission deck, and you put it next to your board, upside down. You don't want to look at it yet, and you won't look at it anytime soon, but the mission deck is supposed to be on this side of the board. Okay, so this is where you're going to put your card. So this ship is done. We go to the next ship. Has a size of 3, so he's going to get 3 cards, and there's going to be 1 from each deck. So 1 science, 1 influence, 1 combat. So we'll do that. 1 science, 1 influence, 1 combat. Those 3 cards come with you. They also go here. And you do that for the rest of your ship. So the last ship we have here is 6 cards, 3 science, 2 influence, 1 combat, 3 science. Oops. Okay. 2 influence, 1 combat. All right. And now you have a deck of mission cards having 10 cards. So you can see that number 10 comes up a lot, right? It's the number of victory points you're going to get. It's also the size of your ship, of your fleet, but it's also the number of mission you start with, 10, right? Now that you've done the missions, you have an idea of what kind of mission you are going to face. In this case here, most of the missions are going to be science. We have one science here, one more science here, that's 2, and 3 here, that's 5. So half of our missions are science. We have 2 combat and 3 influence. Why is it important to know? And why do you do the ships before anything else? Because now, the part of the game that is probably one of the most, not important, but it's the one you may think a little bit more now, is you're going to need to pick between 10 different deck of cards that you're going to be playing the game with. So this game is not a card driven, but has a lot of cards that will help you for your missions and to help you with your ships, combat, or whatever. So let's go over this 10 deck here. They're different, obviously, from the different factions. So Klingon have different decks, and Romulans have different decks, and I'm sure in the future they will have more in it. But those 10 different decks have a name. They're all named, and they all have different cards in it. So, for example, this deck here with Captain Kirk on it, well, guess what? It's Captain Kirk deck. That was easy. There's a game called AV Security, Flagship Fleet, Strange New Words, Man Engineering, and so forth. Every deck is composed of cards that may help you in one way or the other. For example, the engineering deck may have a lot of cards that will help you with your shields or your engine. Maybe more of the engine, really. Whereas the security deck, like this one here, may help you with combat. So there's going to be cards going to be with combat or shields also. The crew members also, because every deck is going to have crew members, as you can see. Those crew members also will help you depending on the deck you're getting. So you can go online, and I think in Board Game Geek there is a paper that somebody created that tells you pretty much what you will get in those decks. That will help you make a choice, because now that you know what kind of mission you need to do, you want to pick the decks that's going to help you the best to do this mission. So I'm not going to go into looking at all the cards and see what I want to pick. I'm just going to pick 4 a deck. So that's going to be 40 cards, the one I want, and then shuffle them, and that's going to be our starting deck for the game. So I'll pick Kirk. I'll pick the Strange New Words, because there's some influence missions I need to do, and then maybe the Engineer deck, and finally I'll pick the just because I like this guy, I'll pick that deck right here. So once you pick the 4 decks, which is 40 cards, the other cards are going to be put aside. You're not going to be using them for that game. You're going to be shuffling this deck, now that you have it, and you're going to put it on this side of the board, which is your command deck, right? So let me do that now. So I've picked my deck, I've shuffled it, and I have my missions, I have my ships. I put the tokens here. So tokens you'll need, obviously. There is a what's it called? It's not building, but tokens that represent things you can actually build, like a star base. Okay, it shows you a shield's number on it. You can also build a colony, and you can build an outpost. And during the role, I will explain how you use those. There's also some system tokens that represent system on your ship, like sensors, engines, shields, weapons, and they give you +1, -1, deactivated. So it's going to represent what's happening to your system during the game, if they're damaged, or if they get a boost, temporary boost, or a permanent boost, or a permanent weakness, or whatever it is. So you'll use those tokens to put them on your ship's card. That will tell you that ship, what's going on with that ship. Okay. There's also control tokens, and they are double-sided. Actually, most of the tokens are double-sided. This one has a Klingon control token on one side, and if you turn it around, it's going to be the Federation control token. Okay, and I'll explain again what this is for. You get some VP tokens with +2 VP, and the other side +1. So this, if you get some VP during the game, and it tell you to get a 1 VP for something or so forth. Like if you build a starbase, for example, you get a VP, so you take one of those and put it on your command post. And you have some scan tokens, again double-sided with the Klingon on one side and the Federation on the other. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to know about setup. Again, you also put shuffle and put the encounter deck next to the encounter deck console with the encounter on the left, and you have the location cards, which are pretty much your board right there. The rest of them, the one you didn't use, you put them on the side because during the game there might be some event or encounter that happened that asks you to switch some of the location cards. So that's what you will do. And then on top, this will be for your trash cards, the cards that are out of the game for good, that will go there. There's also some cloak tokens. You can cloak your ships, but because of the Federation, they only have one ship that can be cloaked, which is the Defiant. I didn't pick this ship, so I won't have any cloaking. But as I go through the rules, I will explain how the cloaking works, because the Klingon, most of their ship cloak, so you probably need to know that too. But those are the tokens if you need them. And of course the rest of the ships stays on the side for now. The game comes with 2 dice, which are really small, white, almost invisible, so I picked 2 dice from a local game shop. And one represents Federation, the other one the Klingon. You can use whatever you want, but I like bigger dice, so that's what I did. And now you're ready to play the game when this is set up. And on my next video I will go over the rules. Like I said, I will go and play or show the rules in the Federation side of things, which is the same for the Klingon, but it's going to be easier for me to do it this way. Alright, so I'll see you later on the next video. Thank you for watching.